If you were to open any one of my sessions, very likely you're going to find a lot of samples. Sampling is incredibly important to my music. It's a quality of my music I've had for a very long time. It's a part of me as a musician, a part of the music I'm influenced by. Now, the way that I sample is through field recordings, so they're samples I am creating. And RX9 is very much a part of that process. Through these samples, I am able to create unique sounds that no one else will have. For me, RX is important because it allows me to take these samples and keep them really clean. And without something like RX, there would be a lot of noise that would compete with other things happening in the song. A few modules I use are the Spectral Denoise in adaptive mode, the Decrackle for taking crackles out of vinyl, Derustle, Deplosive whenever I record people's voices. The module I use the most is probably the Spectral Denoise. I find it the most universal, and it's pretty important when you're out in the wild recording sounds. I have this really interesting moment where I used Music Rebalance, and basically I had done this remix of Every Woman by Chaka Khan. It featured Tinashe. The thing is, I was meant to make this remix without any a cappella, and at the time I didn't have Tinashe next to me. How was I gonna do this? I extracted the a cappella from the original version that Chaka Khan had sang and built the remix around her vocal, which we ended up replacing with Tinashe's vocals. And she actually referenced those in order to sing it. A more far out way I've used RX is this one moment where I was sampling my cat and I just took my phone, put it up to him, gave him a little scratch by the ears, recorded him purring, took that into RX, used Spectral Denoise, took out the room noise, and put it into a song that someone will hear one day. For me, if I were to describe what RX is to someone who's never used it, if you're a sculptor and you have a block of clay, it's like the tools that you use to kind of whittle that down into what you want it to become. And that's what it is to me.
Watch where you're going! Sorry.
So I am going to use this setup to get a bunch of percussive sounds and use those sounds in a drum beat. But before I could do that, I'm going to go and clean it up on RX so it sounds nice and crispy. Let's experiment. Something for a kick drum. I'll find something bassy. That's actually super cool. Let me find a snare. Okay, I'll use this for the hi-hat. And I think I have enough sounds to use. I'm back at the desk after sampling at the piano station. I have a folder here of all the samples that I want to use, and now we're going to use RX to clean them up. I haven't even actually heard them, so they might need a lot of cleaning. We'll start with the slamming on the piano, which I'm assuming will be the kick drum. I definitely recorded everything very loud, but we can fix that. Loudest control, super simple. I like keeping the samples quieter. If I want to compress them when I'm actually in my session, I'll do it then. So quiet is good. The room had all the AC units on, fans going off, there's equipment humming in the background, which you can actually hear here as well. And we'll try to get rid of as much of that as possible without creating too many artifacts in the actual samples. I'm just going to take one of these. I want a consistent kick sound. I like this one more because it has a rattle. So we'll use denoise in adaptive mode. Okay, so without doing anything, I'm just going to do preview with it on. You can see how much it helps. Sick. Amazing. I didn't touch anything on here, but if you wanted to, there's also artifact control. Reduction is good because you can reintroduce some noise if you need it, but that sounds great. So this is a piano knock. This is the one that I wanted to use potentially as a snare. I'm just going to denoise it. So with a Spectral Denoise, it's so easy. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to use this. This time I hear some artifacts, I'm actually going to lower the reduction. I think a little bit of noise in a snare is okay for me. It's great because you can see too on their display, the noise that's happening too. You can see how much it went down. Yeah, copper decoration thing. I don't even know what you call it. Room decor. Just denoise again. I think all my samples sound spectacularly clean. I cleaned up all my samples. They sound amazing. I'm now back in my DAW with this very rudimentary beat I made with standard sounds that came with it. It's not super exciting, but what I do in quite a lot of my music is take samples, sounds, drum sounds, library sounds that everyone has, and put these type of samples over it. So let's say piano slam, that's the one I wanted to be the kick drum. Why don't I layer that first? So the knock is the one I wanted to be a snare, so I'm gonna go and layer that over this standard basic snare. And the copper decoration, that's gonna be my hi-hat for now. So I layered it together, so now they're playing together. Already sounds way cooler. So now I can hear it has that cool rattle from the piano, but before, just the kick by itself sounded like pretty basic. And together it sounds like this. If I had all that noise in there, I think that the kick wouldn't be as round and as clear. You wouldn't be able to hear that attack in the sample that I recorded. Same thing with the snare. So it would just sound like this. The piano knocking, it's like that together. It sounds pretty cool. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna even use the snare. So the sample is so nice and clean, I'm just gonna make that the snare. And with this hi-hat, let's see what it sounds like on its own. Personally, I think that sounds way cooler than just what it sounded like before. It's gonna have a really unique sound. I could put like reverb, compression, all these things, but the main thing is I was able to create something really interesting that no one has. And in the case of the kick specifically too, it was so good at keeping that rattle inside that piano slam with my palm without allowing any of the outside noise to kind of go and mess that up. So it's very unmuddled, which means that when I go to mix this, it'll be a nice clean mix with the right amount of dirtiness to it. And I think for me, the dirtiness is just using the live sound. I don't really want the room noise. I don't really want the fans or the AC. So it sounds so clean and amazing, and I can make my own sample pack like this just from using RX on these field recordings that I use. So right now I'm basically just gonna strum a few different guitar chords, just really simply. I'm still using this Zoom mic because sometimes inspiration happens whenever. I'm not a very fancy schmancy guitar player, so no judgments, and that's also why this is so good. I now imported the guitar I just recorded from the Zoom, and we're gonna pull it into RX9. So we can already tell there's a bunch of room noise still from the fan. You can hear the pick quite a lot too, so I'm going to, again, denoise it. This will be interesting too, because it's with the guitar instead of with something more percussive. So I'll just quickly render this. Okay, so the reduction is much lower, so there's a little bit more sound coming through, but I don't mind that noise at all. I will actually normalize it. Okay, looks good. So now I'm going to use the guitar denoise, which is great, but I have a lot of pick sounds. So you can hear there how loud the pick sounds are. and it has this like clicking sound I don't like. Personally, I really like just the basic settings. This is set at 5 and 5. If I wanted to get more into it, I'm sure I could scalpel out the pick sounds even more, but for how fast I'm trying to work right now, perfect. So now I've gone and actually put this back in my DAW. Nothing super crazy, but honestly, I made this just using a field recorder, just cleaning it up and dumping it back in here. This could be the bones to an extravagantly amazing, award-winning song at the end of the day, but what was important to me is that I was able to get these ideas down. Having a tool like RX is so important in terms of my process and making sure I get my ideas down as soon as possible. I think noise and disruption is what keeps things alive and real. But to be able to control the noise when you're mixing is also important. There are happy mistakes with noises, and now you have the choice to keep them in there if you want them. And the unhappy mistakes can be filtered out, because then from here, the opportunities with the song are endless.